So when I think about what inspired me to become a fintech entrepreneur, I think we want to go back to, what inspired me to be an entrepreneur. And I'm an example of an accidental entrepreneur. And I was working as an engineer way back in 1999. And I started working from a merchant's perspective, processing credit cards. And as you start to unbundle the payments system and start to understand even a little bit about it, it becomes really, really fascinating and also really irritating. You can see lots and lots of problems to be solved. So from that perspective, my inspiration, if you will, was rage, anger at how things worked, and completely ignorant and uninformed belief in self that could offer something to improve the state of the art. So that was what originally inspired me in my first company. That was a really long journey. And then what you realize once you're in financial services and once you're in payments is it really, really is an extremely interesting industry and subset of an industry. So when I sold my first company and then had a year off and thought about what I really wanted to do next, the pull of payments was inexorable. And so the second time, I'm facing it more as an industry participant who is enamored with the industry. There's still lots and lots of problems to solve, but lots of opportunities as well.
And about 4 or 5 years ago, my husband had his credit card used fraudulently online. He had to cancel the card. We had to wait for 2 weeks for the card to come through the post, and then had to plug in all of that data across over 100 online locations. And it was really at that point penny dropped, and we realized, oh my God, none of us actually own any of our personal or our payment information. And we realized this is something that needs to be addressed, and it's a real problem. And because Alistair had also come from a product background, on the technical and strategy side, we both did very different things, and we found the challenge really. So yeah, that's what we've taken on. We absolutely believe people should own their own personal data, and that privacy is a fundamental human right, and the way that it's stored today is completely broken. So we've got our mission, and really that's what inspired the creation of Nuggets, and what inspires us to run the business essentially. So the biggest obstacles that I've faced and how I've overcome them, I think the number one is around funding.
The biggest obstacle that I ever faced, certainly as a first-time entrepreneur, was financing.
Female founders, I think, receive only just over 2% of VC capital. And obviously that's a huge issue, right? Because we all need capital to realise our products, commercialise these, and then take those to market. And I think really there is just don't underestimate the amount of effort that it takes, and not taking no for an answer. I think when you know that there's still a way to go around the balance of female funding versus male funding, is understanding that then it becomes a numbers game. You need to eventually meet the VCs or the investors that will back you and your business. So I think one of the ways that I've overcome that is by speaking more, becoming more visible. Also, I think don't underestimate the power of a really great supportive network. I think that's one of the things I had no idea, going into this journey 4 or 5 years ago, how powerful that network can be. And that's not just with, making yourself more visible, but really, someone that you can pick up the phone to and talk about these things, and also has got your back and that can lift you on those days that you really need it.
So pitching in the Unicorn Challenge for FiSpan, which is my first opportunity to pitch, was super fun. And the biggest benefit for FiSpan from that particular pitch fest was actually internal. By coming home as a very young company with a trophy that we proudly displayed in our entranceway. It made a big difference to the 5 folks that are in this little high-risk startup, and also people coming into the office.
Pitching at the Unicorn Challenge is incredibly beneficial. You not only get the opportunity to present your startup, to a number of successful women across, some of the biggest corporates globally. So you get to share your product, but you also get some really invaluable feedback. And I think that's something that, I can't stress enough. It's almost like just that alone, without even winning the Unicorn Challenge, is just a phenomenal feedback, essentially, that loop into, because a lot of the people that you're presenting to are normally those that you'd be presenting to in a commercial capacity as well, that procure services like our startups provide. So I think that's number one. And then if you do go on to win the Unicorn Challenge, I mean, I can just say from my perspective, it's been incredibly invaluable. The number of doors it's opened, whether you're talking to, some of the top banks and financial institutions, but also at the speed at which it's grown my network as a result of having, those meetings. So no, it's incredibly invaluable.